What's up, guys? Like Bossk 67 here. Today I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 12. I hope you guys have enjoyed the past few reviews. This is the very last episode of The Clone Wars ever, so this was a very sad episode, but by the way, there are going to be huge spoilers for this episode, so if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. Now, let's get into it. The music in the very beginning when they showed like the title card, that was actually... if you guys noticed, it was like a grander rendition of Padme's funeral theme from Revenge of the Sith, which I thought was pretty cool. This was definitely one of the better episodes in the series, though I wish it would have been a little longer. This episode picked up right where the last one left off, and Ahsoka and Rex used the sword and shield maneuver, which we also see Rex use something very similar to that in Rebels with Ezra and Kanan. I believe they've also used it in other times in the Clone Wars, but I don't remember the specific times. I noticed that the blue blaster bolts are a much brighter blue, and they're more similar to the looks in Rebels, but I actually kind of prefer it. I think it looks a little better. Ahsoka and Maul then head to the hangar to get their shuttle to escape the cruiser. Maul tries to take the Venator out of hyperdrive, and he uses the Force to destroy the hyperdrive, which is very awesome. And I think it's kind of funny now that Sam Witwer has voiced two characters that have taken down cruisers with the Force. For those of you who didn't know, he voiced Starkiller from The Force Unleashed. Maul in this episode felt extremely intimidating. He felt very Sith-like. And I noticed he didn't really talk at all. I think he said one thing when later in the episode when him and Ahsoka were about to fight in the hangar. But I think that was it. I loved how Ahsoka had a little squad of droids doing stuff for her. I felt like that was something Anakin might have done, and especially... what Anakin would have done with R2 and stuff like that, so that was very cool. Ahsoka and Rex open the hangar doors, and they find out that they are headed for a moon, that they will be pulled into it and crash. They also see that Jesse and all of the clones are laying in wait for them in an ambush. At first, I thought the planet that they were going to might end up being like Zepho from Fallen Order or Braca, since those two planets had crashed cruisers on them, but I don't think it's either of those. I'm not really sure what planet it is. Later, it kind of looked like Hoth when we saw all the snow and the Imperials, but I highly doubt that it's Hoth. Rex and Ahsoka then debate about killing all the clones. Ahsoka doesn't want to kill them, but Rex says that the clones' only goal is to kill Ahsoka and Rex, and so that they might have to resort to killing. Ahsoka pulls off Rex's helmet, and we see that Rex is crying and because he has to fight and kill his own brothers, which was actually a really heartbreaking scene. And I love just seeing Rex Rex being more emotional, since during the whole series he was always kind of a serious soldier kind of guy, and it's really sad to see this because, Rex has always been one of the coolest characters in not just the Clone Wars, but Star Wars as a whole. Rex pretends that he captured Ahsoka as they enter the hangar, and Rex tries to convince all the clones that they don't need to kill Ahsoka because Ahsoka's not a Jedi. Jesse accuses Rex of treason against the Republic, and he demotes him to captain, which I think is why in Star Wars Rebels we see that Rex is he's still Captain Rex and not Commander Rex, because I think Rex, I guess he just took the demotion from Jesse because he respects Jesse and he respects the hierarchy of the Fallen Republic. The astromechs then drop all of the clones into the maintenance section of the Venator hangar. At first I thought they were all dropped into space, which I was like, oh wow, they killed them all after they had the debate about not killing anybody, but no, they just dropped them into the maintenance section. Then we see Maul running towards the shuttle, and Ahsoka chases him. She makes a slash at Maul's neck, I didn't expect her to go straight for a kill. But then Maul pushes her away, and she falls down to the maintenance section, and she's holding on for dear life, so she doesn't fall down there with all the clones. Maul takes off in his little shuttle. R7 helps Ahsoka out and helps her out with a little grapple thing. Jesse and the clones all start to open fire while Rex stuns as many of the clones as he can. R7 is sadly shot by the clones and obliterated, so I doubt we'll ever see R7 again, which is pretty sad because R7 has been in the show since I think season 1, whenever we first saw Ahsoka's starfighter which I think was probably the Storm over Ryloth episode. Maul takes off in a shuttle, and then Ahsoka grabs onto a ship with the Force, much like Rey did in The Rise of Skywalker. It was a very cool scene, but then eventually Ahsoka has to let him go so that she can focus on helping Rex fight the clones and focus on just staying alive. Ahsoka and Rex have to go down to the maintenance section to find another ship, and they find a working Y-Wing, though I think it's like the only ship down there that's working since all of them are like, in maintenance. I was hoping they would actually find like the Twilight, but I don't think the Twilight is around. It's probably destroyed, but I was hoping we'd see something cool, or maybe like Ahsoka's starfighter, like Anakin had decided to keep it or something like that. But it's fine. The Y-Wing's cool. It was also like the Y-Wing had a blue paint job, I noticed, and we didn't really see many Y-Wings with a blue paint job, so I'm not sure why that was there. The clones then destroy all the other droids, which it was kind of brutal. They just sat there and shot them all, but I guess it's not much of a stretch for clones because they have gone their whole life just killing droids. The Venator then starts to tip on its side as it enters the planet, and Ahsoka is falling. Rex is trying to get the Y-Wing to take off after Ahsoka gets in, but the Y-Wing is then dropped out of the hangar and into the atmosphere of the planet. Ahsoka is also sucked out, I think, along with a lot of other clones. So as Ahsoka is flying through the air, Rex tries to catch her with the Y-Wing, and she's jumping off of wreckage and stuff like she kind of did in Siege of Mandalore when she was jumping on all the ships. I always love when she's jumping around on ships. I just think that's always really cool. I noticed, I think no word at all is spoken, or at least not very many lines are spoken after this point, after the Venator crashes. All we see is Rex and Ahsoka. They're burying all the clones. Ahsoka has a gray cloak on, which is very similar to her white cloak that we saw at the very end of Star Wars Rebels. And Dave Filoni had said she was always inspired somewhat by Gandalf. And so I think it's cool that she has a gray cloak like Gandalf the Gray, and then in Rebels she has a white cloak like Gandalf the White. So I think that's pretty cool. And also the music in this scene was very cool. It's not what I expected it to be, but it definitely fit well. It was very cool. We see Ahsoka drop her lightsaber, which I noticed she only dropped one of her lightsabers, and some people were saying that she had lost the other one, but we also see her have both of them when she gets in the Y-Wing, so that means maybe she kept one, which is interesting. So I'm not sure if she still has that, because I know in the Ahsoka novel she didn't have either of her lightsabers, so maybe there's a possibility that Rex kept her smaller one, or that something happened to it, or I don't know, maybe she dropped it but we just didn't see it. I think the Venator crashing in a way symbolizes the fall of the Republic and the decline of the galaxy, and also with Jesse's helmet, how it had the Republic symbol on it, and seeing that Jesse was dead. I think that also showed the decline of the clones and the kind of the death of the galaxy in a way. Next, we see a Lambda shuttle in a snowstorm. Then we see Imperial snowtroopers in the area. We hear the slow breathing of Darth Vader. We see Vader walk towards the crashed Venator, and then he finds Ahsoka's lightsaber and ignites it. I think Vader holding the blue lightsaber in a way shows that Anakin is still in there, and that he isn't completely Anakin isn't completely dead yet, and that there's still hope, and that he still cares for Ahsoka, which is really sad to think about. The next time we see them together will be when they're fighting in Rebels. Vader and the Imperials look really cool in the Clone Wars animation style. They look a lot better than they did in Star Wars Rebels, but I know in Star Wars Rebels they were trying to go after they were trying to make it look like the Ralph McQuarrie concept art, which personally I didn't really like that style of animation for Rebels. Then we see Vader look up at an owl in the sky, which is the owl that Ahsoka has in Rebels that is always following her. I thought we would see how Ahsoka got that owl in this finale. I thought that would be kind of explained, but I guess not. But for those of you who didn't know, the owl is actually the daughter from Mortis looking over Ahsoka. I feel as if this episode didn't give enough of an explanation for the finale, and I felt like the end, like it didn't feel like the final ending. I wanted to see more of what happened to Rex and Ahsoka, like what they did. I know a lot of that is explained in like books and maybe comics, but I'd rather see it on screen. And like, not a lot of people are going to go out and read the books and stuff like that. Most people want the story contained in just the show, so that they don't have to go chase down all the other little things to have a complete story. Either way, it was still a great ending to the show, and I'm glad we finally have a definite ending and a finale instead of having just kind of the lost missions be the ending. I'm glad we now have closure and everything. It was a really sad episode. I want to say it ruined my day, but it also made it really exciting. But it was so sad to have the Clone Wars over. The Clone Wars has always had a special place in my heart. Me and my brother grew up with it, and I've grown with these characters, and I've learned a lot of things from watching them. And it's sad to see it over, but I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad I got to be a part of the Clone Wars and watching it all the time. But it's definitely very sad that it's over, but I'm glad it happened. Thank you all for watching this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please subscribe for more content like this. Like Bossk, out.